My general question is, how important is it for you to have to activate? I use the word activate the rest of the human race. Is that your motivation to activate? And do you feel an intrinsic desire to create from sacred geometry? And does it come from deep within you, or did it come from
I have always been driven by activating humanity, and that's been quite a intense journey for me. Also knowing that you can't really do anything outside of yourself, kind of thing. You know, because we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. And yeah, it's been a massive driving force. As far as sacred geometry is concerned, yes, I mean, I've done a few sacred geometrical paintings, which are in the book. I can't say it's been the most thing that's influenced me, because I do oil painting, if you know what I mean. It's a little bit easier to do that with the digital medium as such. Yeah, I just think we're in a pivotal time here. 2012, there's going to be some interesting things going on. There's the regressive possible timeline, or the progressive possible timeline, and it just depends on humanity where they want to put their energy, you know, because the progressive timeline is going to be amazing. You know, if people start implementing all the knowledge we have, you know, with the whole free energy and the list goes on, alternative medicine, all that kind of thing. I just think some people are very driven and interested in that kind of thing, and some people are not. I'm not sure what it is.
Do you feel a...
I've always felt an urgency of sorts. I'm not sure if urgency is quite the right word, but I have done extensive, compulsive research into almost everything, cat knows, year after year. So I don't know, and that's just an innate driving force. I'm not sure, it's probably to do with my purpose for being on this planet in this area of space and time. You know, people have different functions while they're here, so...
I believe art has a really important role to play in the changes that are happening. If you look at the history of art and you see the way that technology and different phases of development have changed, oftentimes it's within art and music that you see the first symptoms of a major cultural change. You know, when you had abstraction, you had painters that began painting abstract images just on a canvas, moving paint around, and eventually that developed into architecture and different forms of culture. So the forms that we're seeing now in the visionary art and the sacred art that's coming out all over the world are definitely a symptom of what's happening in our times. Art and the sacred geometry is definitely a part of it. I believe they're almost like light codes that have been coming down, and artists and musicians and different creative people are interpreting those codes into visual images and being attracted to certain forms, as opposed to, you know, what came in the past. And the forms that are coming now are new forms that have never come before. The purpose of these are to assist in this awakening.
I'm utterly compulsed and fervent to liberate and activate the beauty that I see in other people, and art is secondary to that, you know, mission. I'm just honoured that it can work through art.
Yeah, we're evidently in a time where all the motifs and mythologies and religions from around the planet are converging into a wholeness, into a planetary culture. And it's a process of synthesis, and it's a fine alchemy, because for thousands of years these different lines of religion and creed have claimed the absolute truth to their interpretation of reality. And now we're in a situation where we have access to not only the existing religions that are on the planet right now, but the ones of the past too. You know, the desert, the Sahara Desert is uncovering, you know, it seems like every decade a new scroll which blows apart various aspects of our worldview gets uncovered. And so we're in a synthesis, and there's an artist called Paul Foley who he actually designed the World Trade Center, and he's very amazing conceptual visionary. He called the current era the Bahal Rock. He described this era in these terms, in the terms of everything coming together and there being a great balancing, and there being many polarities, being many extremes within that. You know, it's going off in every direction, you know, and it's immensely inspiring. And so we have this phase space. It's a space of possibility, and all of these possibilities are there. And I think the role of art is to really work to synthesize and create mythos, guiding mythos that help us through this kind of wilderness as a species, and enable us to understand our world in new terms. We get a new language with art. You know, the evolution of art reflects the evolution of consciousness. And so within the arts, we have the symbols and the logos, the language, and it's constantly evolving. So we're developing new languages and new myths, and myths have great power. They're not just stories, they are guiding templates. They're the light forms that Kuba just mentioned, these templates for new society, templates for new levels of human relatedness, and relatedness with fellow species, the fellow community of life and the plant kingdom, and our place in the universe. And you know, this works in concert with spiritual teachers and with the cutting edge of science, scientific exploration of our world. And so in art, just in the art culture itself, we have many different cultures, and they're all generating different mythos. So we're in a time of great diversity, and it's certainly my own individual aim as an artist to try and breathe prayer into my work, and to breathe a kind of transparency to the divine. So it's not just about the image, it's about the kind of existential depth that the image just leads one into, because it's forged through prayer. So
yeah, obviously sacred geometry is my work relates to very much, and it's what is the embodiment of, and it's also, my work is all about the intention of providing this environment for the shifting of consciousness. And it's interesting because the shape that I did here is a unique shape I just learned about a year ago, even though I've been studying sacred geometry my whole life. And it's very ultimately simple, but it's also something that I was never noticed before. It's the name of the shape is a rhombic triacontahedron, which is a really complicated name for a 30-sided rhombus. But what's interesting is here at Boom, in the crystal mandala and the market stage are very similar geometries that relate directly to it, and it has to do with the five platonic solids. There's a dodecahedron and icosahedron, and so it was really interesting how, after setting my piece up and then seeing these other two, that there's the same thing that's going on in the people here at Boom, that we're exploring the same geometry. So the sacred geometry seems to be an underlying key coming up, and I really wanted to point that out. Just and the idea, though, of using these sacred geometries to affect the people directly, but by their experience of it. In my work, it has to do with an intermediary between the universe operates through sacred geometrical vibrational energy patterns. And it means everything is vibrating, and it doesn't just vibrate like randomly, but in sacred geometrical relationship. And so I build these structures in three-dimensional space. And like, it's funny because I don't like to even really tell people I'm an artist or what I'm doing is art, because it's kind of lies outside of that. To me, it's more of a spiritual technology, but it does, obviously, the art sculptures and the art things that are considered art. And so anyway, these geometries I built are intermediaries between your own personal vibrational energy body and the Earth's vibrational energy body. So they're like ways to align them and utilize the geometry in a direct experiential fashion.
Yeah, I think everything that Daniel said was really spot on. I really appreciate hearing that. For my own work, and I know for a lot of other artists, when I create a painting, the paintings or the images I make, they're like a finger that's pointing to the moon. You know, you don't want to really get hung up on the finger. It's really what the paintings represent. And for me, I try to have these paintings represent just the infinite human potential. You know, everything that we're capable of, to the veil that exists beyond our five senses. The paintings, they're in essence, they're an invitation, and they're a portal for each of us and all of us to go deeper into ourselves and into that mystery. You know, it's like I make no claims that I know what's going on or what's happening in 2012 or what this whole story is about. You know, but I'm so deeply in love with the mystery, and for me, art and the creation of images is the best way that I've found that I can spend my time on earth in these two hands in full rapture and loving that mystery.
Hi. Tibetan mandala drawings. I'm just wondering if any of you have ever sat with some kind of lama and who does his sacred art and shared your work with them and how the conversation went.
Do you know Robert Beer? He's someone who's worked extensively. He's not Tibetan. He's a Western expert in Thangka painting and knows all of the ins and outs of the incredibly esoteric, complex imagery of the Tibetan system. I've met him on a number of occasions, and he's someone that I sometimes contact in order to get feedback of the energies around certain pieces it's forming, and I find that very, very valuable. It's funny, I sent a copy of one of my paintings to Chogyal Namkhai Norbu, who's a Dzogchen master, and he just sent it back, said, "Very nice. I don't know much about painting." So, in a way, he let me off the hook, you know. And yeah, so that's what I have to say there.
I guess what I want to say in response to yours, my feeling is you have a really strong lineage running. I don't know if I believe in past lives or not, and of course I imagine you all have your own opinion about that, but I see something really very resonant in all of you sitting up there, and I just want to pay my respects, so thank you.
I think you just have to...
Hello. Yeah, I'm just wondering if any of you have looked back at your initial artworks, even when you were kids, and seen like hidden messages in them, or you can finally understand them looking back, what they mean to you now, and you didn't know what they meant at the time, perhaps. And if they've really pointed out something really obvious to you now. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I've certainly had that experience several times, either looking at... actually, recently what happened that was really interesting is I was looking back at some children's drawings from... my mom keeps a pretty good archive of my drawings, and I had a lot of drawings that when I was like 5 and 6 and 7, I would just fill up these sketchbooks over and over and over again. And like in my life, you know, we all talk about, you know, these galactic codes, and through my experiences with ayahuasca and DMT, kind of entering in these very alien spaces. You know, I have to say, very interdimensional, just undescribable. And I've always had these feelings of there was something that happened, like something that it transcends just the medicinal experience, but it's something kind of deeper in my own life. And I came across these drawings, and a cliff note to this too. I've always had throughout my life, I've woken up with these like night terrors. I remember, feel those experiences. You kind of wake up and you're paralyzed, and you